Hello, this is Arcus and Tenebris with session 4. This one ought to be interesting. When we last together, the group had decided to take a unexpectedly, one could say, pacifistic approach, and they had gassed the they had gassed the
I think the word you're looking for is sedated.
sedated, yes, sedated. They sedated the thieves and stole not only their loot but the relic, and left before they woke up, which was decidedly not the avenue that I thought they were going to follow. But that works out. Um, I When you got back, you discovered that the bag contained $2 million in cash, roughly, and a bunch of jewelry. Um, as Arthur was talking about possibly seeking to give the jewelry back, but you guys hadn't talked about uh, that. What exactly you were going to do with that. However, however, I figured you guys could talk about that now. I'd say it's been about a week since uh, since your last big adventure. So tell me what you guys have done in the meantime. Oh, and I understand that this system doesn't handle money normally, but you guys know what roughly how much a half a million can buy you. So I figure you guys would have divided the cash equally amongst yourselves. So you each have a $500,000 to play around with if you want to.
Quick question. I forgot to check. How quickly does your quintessence recover um, passively, or
Uh,
is it just you
you,
node or nothing?
Generally speaking, you have to go to a node or use another method to build quintessence, and usually that other method is uh, is either a very big ritual bonfire or uh, animal sacrifices of some kind or anything like that. So generally speaking, it is far more effective to use your node. Now you guys do have a node. It's a rather big node, uh, and it's a couple. It's like about 3 or 4 miles from your sanctum. Uh, I don't think I have described the. I don't think I've described the node for the podcast. The node is is a standing stone, like about 3 feet tall, surrounded, that has a radius of about 50 feet around it. There is a bunch of scrub pines circling it, and uh, in between there are expanding circles of plant life. It to someone who doesn't know what they're looking at, they'll be like, "Huh, someone did a art piece, or maybe it's like a crop circle type thing, or all that." But it is it is a very powerful node. Uh, it really isn't difficult for you guys to go and meditate at the node at any time. So I assume that you wanted to do that.
Yeah, that was one of the things that he would probably have done because I think he used 2 or 3 quintessent in the previous events. So yeah, that was something he did. Oh, another thing that he did do was he did kind of like keep a log on to see where the thieves wandered off to. Like he is kind of like checking in on them.
Okay.
With,
we'll get back to that. So it's been about a week since you guys have done this. So Fluke, what have you been doing for the week? In the meantime,
I've been after my study of the talisman and last magic sensing that went a bit haywire. I decided to leave the magicking a bit low for a week, so I can just do my normal day stuff and lead off this build up energies of the rather intense casting of the day.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite. So
I basically did my normal day job.
Okay.
With no magics.
Okay. And Klaus, what have you been doing? What have you been doing since the week has happened?
Well, if we got $500,000, I would probably have spent the week distributing that amongst different banks and investments and using a little bit of entropy magic here and there to see which stocks I should invest in, stuff like that.
Okay.
That's pretty clever.
All right. So, Tatiana, what have you been doing?
I saw a movie and I went clubbing. And the rest I hid in my room.
Fair enough. All right. So Arthur, what? Let's get back to you. What were you wanting to do?
Well, he did want to keep a track of where the thieves are going, but he also probably looked into that. Thieves first.
Well, as far as the thieves are concerned, especially right after, it took them about a day for them to really realize that anything was gone because they were,
Stoned.
Yeah. But as soon as they did, there was a lot of panicking and all that. However, now you are keeping an eye on the thieves via your camera feed, yes?
Well, that, and you remember when I poured some prime into one of their shoelaces?
Oh, to track
so I
them?
can track them. Yeah, so I can track them with correspondence, and I think it'd be correspondence in Prime.
Okay. Well, and you were like kind of doing this passively, like while you were doing other stuff. You weren't like
Yeah,
dedicating your time to. Okay, well, so it gets around to the time where they would do the where they were going to do the robbery, and you are because you took the talisman. You're like, okay, well they kind of what are they gonna do, huh? It's not gonna be that big a deal. Through passive observation, you realize they tried to do the robbery still. However, because you can tell that they went to the address at the appointed time, I'm going to say that by the time that you realized that that was happening, the rest of the events happened. So you could, because you weren't actively following them, it kind of played out on its own. So they went to go rob the place. They set off the alarms. The police came by and did a like high response time, and they went to go. They were decided to try and arrest them, but the thieves decided that they weren't going to go without a fight, and they were all. I'm trying to think of what you would. Through context clues, you could tell that the shoes left the would have left the place where they were robbing, and because you are a detective and you've been there, you would realize that the shoes went to the coroner. If you'd like, I could say that you can, look into what happened.
Yeah, he would have done research on that.
Okay. And since we're talking like about a week and you're not doing a rush job, I'm saying that I'm pretty sure you could like find out what this is, pretty passively, and nobody's gonna be like, "Huh, why are you looking for it?" So ultimately, what happened was they tried to get in. The police responded, and then they decided to open fire on the police. One of the police returned fire. One of them got hit and then landed hard into another one, and both of them exploded. I'd like to point out that the second one was not hit by the bullet. They were just he was hit hard enough. It was just a hard hit that made him rupture. The third one decided to give up and went to put his hands out to have the cuffs put on him, and the police officer did the whole rough, "I'm gonna smack the cuffs on your wrist to have it swing around and lock," and that was hard enough to cause his hand to fall off, and he just fire hosed out of the hole and died.
I feel bad for the cops.
Yeah. especially the one who was like handcuffing him, because he would have gotten covered in the stuff.
Oh.
That really doesn't sound like something that should happen.
Well, no, it absolutely wasn't. But so I'm gonna let you guys see behind the DM screen here. uh, I decided that these guys were going to be violent, but very, very squishy, because the Vitae was keeping them alive, but just barely. So they had like 1 hit point.
Okay. That's not much.
No, it's not. But the idea was like, if they were normal humans, this would have the talisman would have killed them, and it would have killed them a while back. So yeah, the Vitae was all that was holding them together. All right.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, I was really like, didn't they feel themselves just getting weaker and weaker?
Well,
like, or did?
Well, they got to the point that they were at, like about 4 thefts ago, and then they kind of like evened out, and they went, well, I guess it's not getting any worse. And what's more is they didn't want to let their boss in on what they were doing, so they didn't want to let their boss in on what they were doing. So they didn't want to like go to the hospital or anything, and even if they did, they so basically they decided to do the I'm a rough and tumble dude, I could take on anything, even sickness. And
I thought it was one of those. Oh, I can just walk it off.
Yeah, it was like that. So that's what happened. I'll be honest. I was really waiting for you guys to splatter them and get splashback, but that didn't happen. So, all right.
The boys are smart.
Yes, you guys did the smart thing. All right. So you guys went to the node during this week, yes?
Yes, I think that would be a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get there and you do your meditation and you recover quintessence, and everything is perfectly fine, and you continue to go on with your lives. And I'm going to say that for the purposes of convenience and storytelling, that at the end of that week, you all find yourself at the Sanctum, working on one pet project or another, and all of, as you're working on whatever it is, you get a knock on the door, which is weird. You never get a knock on the door. Anyone want to, answer the door?
I quickly check my gun, and if no one else goes, I would. But if someone else goes first, I'm happy to let them go.
Anyone else want to open the door?
I'll
No.
go.
I'll be. I'll ask them that. Sorry, I lost my nose with the character names. Apologies. So I will ask for Terry to back me up while I go open it.
Klaus.
Definitely. I'm right behind you.
So
I go over and open the door.
all right, I'm going to say that it is, it's late in the afternoon. But you open the door, and there is the person closest to the door is a older Native American gentleman. And behind him are two. I'm gonna say they are in the like early 20s, maybe still teenagers range.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all Native American. and you can tell that the younger ones are not happy. Either there's an argument in the background, or they don't want to be here, or they're upset about something, but they're not happy. But the older guy is is stands there and is being very pleasant and all that, and he says, we come in peace, Namebreaker. We would like to talk to you about your cairn.
Or what?
So, out of character, I think this would all be new to us.
Yes, you have no idea what he's talking about.
I
Well,
would reply
it
with,
could be a kind of woo maybe Native American word for magic place, but yeah.
yeah,
My first reaction is, what are you talking about?
So my response is, is this, what time of day is it?
It is late afternoon.
Good evening, sirs. What can we help you with? You can see visible confusion.
So, the elder gentleman points directly at where your node is, and he says, "We would like to talk to you about your cairn. Very soon it will become unstable, and it will create a shallowing, and we would like to help keep that contained until the instability passes." Oh, I'm sorry. I'm being rude. My name is John Whitecorn.
Good day, John. I'm Klaus. What exactly do you mean when you say unstable? And what exactly do you mean care for it till it passes?
And at that, he kind of looks at you guys askance, and he says, "You guys haven't been doing this for very long, have you?"
No.
Okay.
No, sir.
What is long and not long in this world? But probably.
Okay. Let me. Firstly, I think we are dealing with a failure in understanding certain words. Our people, and he gestures at himself and the two guys behind him. Our people have different words for these same sacred sites and places of power than your people do, and it also seems that you are not necessarily connected to elders who would inform you of such things. Am I correct?
You can assume as such.
Okay.
It's not really a family tradition, no.
Okay. And he asks if he could come in. This may take a little bit.
I would have invited. Yeah.
Okay.
I would have invited them inside.
All right. So,
do we have some kind of meeting area kind of deal?
Sure. I'd say you got like a couch and a couple chairs and a table.
Yeah, I think we definitely talked about having some kind of area just to relax and watch TV or play
play
Xbox or something. So we would have enough space to sit down and Probably also a mini fridge and a coffee machine and something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So he, the elderly gentleman goes to sit on the couch, and the younger men are are willing to do the tough guy. I'm standing, fuck you guys type of thing. And he sees that, and he gestures to them to sit on the couch. And he says something under his breath about "don't be rude." And
Coffee, anyone? Or maybe I think we only have Pepsi in the fridge, but
John accepts a cup of coffee. The other two are trying to like do the stoic tough guy thing.
sure. Suit yourself.
I'll sit down next to the stoic tough guys with this please smile on my face because
All right. So you sit down next to one of them, and all of a sudden, from like I'm being a stoic tough guy, he goes instantly to like, oh my god, I'm really uncomfortable. But he doesn't say anything, and he doesn't he doesn't he doesn't really move other than like maybe like half an inch scoot away from you type of thing.
okay.
So there's that, and as John gets his cup of coffee, he says, unless we are very, very deeply mistaken, all of you are will workers, yes? You use your will to subvert the world.
Yeah, I think
Pretty much a good way to put
that
it.
sounds a good description. Yeah.
And one moment. And once again, he like, without even looking where his position would be, he points directly to where the node is, and he says, and you use that place to regain your strength, yes?
It could be said like that, yeah.
Okay.
It is a little bit more complicated, but I
Well, of
don't
course.
think it suits any one of us to get hung up on the details.
I'm trying to use minimalist words here, so neither of us get hung up on our vocabulary. Do any of you interact with the spirit world?
Arthur raises his hand and says, I can kind of detect, I see it, but I can't really. How far do you interact? I can't.
I do.
Oh.
Okay, and he goes, oh, okay. So do you are in connection to the spirit world? Do you know what that place is?
The spirit world.
Almost.
I assume you're going to tell us.
It is
The afterlife. It's where people go when they die, right?
not.
Is that your afterlife?
I think there is a difference between the world of the dead and nature spirits, but I'm no expert.
So he goes, you're half right. That is a place where the wall between the worlds is thin. And because it's thin, the energy of the spirit world bleeds into ours. And the energy of our world bleeds into the spirit world. So it's a very important site. For your people, you use it to regather your strength, and for our people, we, before the tragedy, we it was our duty, and still is our duty, to defend and police those sites. It is our duty to it is our duty, among other things, to keep the spirits from overstepping their place. And he said he kind of looks at the other two to with sort of an expression of like, well, this can kind of go, hey, this can go haywire at any second type of thing. So, yeah, he gave him that kind of look, you know. And he says, we are half of the world of flesh, and we are also half of the world of spirit. And it is our sacred duty to ensure both worlds are in harmony with each other. And although we may appear as normal people to you in this guise, we are not.
Okay.
And you know, you can tell that he kind of like put his hand on the table and he's waiting for you guys to react.
So what exactly are you proposing? Some kind of sharing agreement? Or
no.
are you the mob who's trying to tell us a nice note you have there would be a shame if it broke?
No. Nothing like that. What we are trying to do, so we are dealing with a certain phase of the moon. What? I didn't catch that.
Are you afraid of the note going off as a bomb? I ask.
Oh, no. Allow me to explain. I told you that there was an instability coming. With this certain time of year coming up, and with the phase of the moon coming up, the wall between the physical world and the spiritual world will thin. And given the power of your cairn, because he's using his word because he hasn't heard what your word is yet, with the power of your cairn, it will turn into what is referred to as a shallowing, where there will be no wall. And we would like to have your permission to be there and stand guard to ensure nothing crosses over. It should be all cleared up within a couple of days, but we would like to make sure that nothing crosses over during those days.
Can we assist with something? I asked.
Don't really have a problem with that.
I think we can help you with a bit here. Forgive me, I do not mean to be insulting in saying so, but it seems that you are on your own and you don't really know what's going on with your abilities, what you are, and where you stand in the world at large. because if you did, you would know exactly what we are. And in order to try and to help you as sort of a payment to allowing us to do our job at your cairn, we know of a couple that are out at Cloudcroft who would be more than willing to help you understand what is to help fill you in on everything, but yet have no interest in the larger affairs of the world. So it would be very safe for you to learn from them without being exposed to the machinations of the more political of your kind. And you can tell he's trying to find words that won't be insulting.
Well, I'm trying very hard not to be insulted. So he can basically say whatever. So the question is, if they are basically doing our job, do they want something in return, or do they need help?
Not
And
all they want is access to the node during that time, so that they could do their job. That's all they want.
And that
So-
might be not a nice question, because they are basically offering to help us out for free. But what is our guarantee that they don't just move in and after everything is over just keep our node and say, nah, we changed our mind?
And I assume you voiced that in some way, yes?
Yes, those are the questions I ask.
And with that, he nods his head and says that is a risk in allowing outsiders to your sacred sites. I understand that. However, we really do not want. Since the great tragedy, we are spread thin. Even spread more thin than we were before it happened. And we, generally speaking, we are more than happy to let you have this powerful sacred cairn, because you will take care of it. We do not have the people to cover every cairn anymore. Since the tragedy, there are more cairns than there are of us who can tend to them. So it is true, you have a strong and powerful cairn, but we have enough going on that we have no interest in it. Other than to police it during that time, because, and he, once again, you could tell he's trying to be very, non-offensive when he says this. When he says, because during that time it would be beyond your ability to deal with it. And I mean no offense by saying that. It's just you are not far enough along your own path to do what you would need to do during that time.
I look around at the others and shrug. I don't really mind, especially because I get the feeling that if we said no, we also would only get a conflict on our hands. So
Do you
why
say
not
that?
be the nice? Yes, I say that a lot. So why not be the nice guys and just say yes?
So I'm gonna just kind of, out of curiosity, when he was saying that they have no interest in it, what were his two wingmen doing? How did they respond?
Well, the one who's not sitting next to you is trying to be the. I am presenting a show of strength type thing. You know, not being aggressive, but like, I could be aggressive if I want to be type of thing. And the one that's sitting next to you is, once again, trying to do what the other guy is doing, but is like also trying to make sure that you're not approaching him anymore.
Mm.
So, what I was thinking of doing was, well, first of all, he keeps talking about this great tragedy that happened. But let me back up. It's like, so what exactly do you get out of coming here, working for free, paying us to work, and then letting us just keep all our goodies?
Well, we are not. We are not trying to. We're not doing your job for you. We're not trying to take anything away from you. It is. We are. And he says, in a perfect world, we are trying to do what religious priests would try to do during during a natural disaster, by stepping up and adding their support to the relief effort. We're not, we are in a flow in a similar direction, that we do not want bad things to happen. And although we are not in alignment in all of our abilities and motivations, we are in alignment in the fact that one would assume that you don't want a great deal of spirits to come pouring out of your cairn during this time, wild and unchained.
That will seem suboptimal, yes.
Yeah, I think we agree.
Question, is there anything we
I'm
can
gonna
do to
guess that they
assist?
wouldn't be benevolent.
The spirits? The spirits being...
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm pretty.
sure they would.
You wouldn't be here if they were benevolent.
Well,
Probably
being
not all.
being benevolent and malevolent, in their eyes, it is the same thing. They gather strength and enjoyment by reveling in their core aspect. For as and he like gestures at you, says, as you know, spirits are drawn to what they are at their core. A bunch of joy spirits sounds perfectly fun, because they would attach themselves to a group of people and have joy. But if that joy continues for long enough, it will need to find new ways to express joy, which will lead to damage, self-harming behavior by the people that they are attached to. Like, for example, everyone wants to have a party, right? They add alcohol. Yeah, that's fun. Everybody wants to enjoy it more. Then they add recreational drugs. And then the drugs add a level of addiction. And the joy spirits keep on pushing the need for enjoyment. And they will continue. It is being addicted is its own difficulty with spirits pushing you. It makes it 1,000 times worse. So on their own, in moderation, these spirits are perfectly benign, but they only want what their core aspect is, and they do not understand the concept of moderation. So it isn't to say that they are evil, it's just that they do not know where to stop. And because they don't know where to stop, and because their influence on people, things can get out of hand really quickly.
Okay.
I
So
have
think we get to learn then? Go ahead.
I do have a one question though. What's the difference between, because Prime 1 it lets you see patterns, right? How would a pattern be different than you seeing the aura with the Spirit Sphere? I'm assuming there's like some kind of difference, but they're similar in a way.
Well, I mean, if you want to get, philosophical, you could apply that same logic to every Sphere one, because, that's sort of like the unspoken rule of all of magic and reality is it's all the same thing.
No, I mean, if you were to look at somebody's with the spirits and see an aura, is that different? How is that different from if you see the like their pattern? Because
Okay.
I know that when he saw the yeah.
So effectively, if you were to use your prime vision on a spirit, you could tell that something was there, that it's a thing. But you would need your spirit sensing abilities to know what it is. Because you got to remember, prime shows you the pattern. It doesn't necessarily tell you what it does. That's what the other spheres are for.
All right.
You got to remember that all the spheres basically allow you to interact with it, and although prime is the basis for everything else, it only empowers or damages the pattern. It doesn't allow you to interact with it otherwise.
Right. Okay, Tatiana, sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Really, I guess what I was curious, I continue pointedly ignoring the guy I sat next to, and I look at the elder and I just say, okay, so you keep talking about this great, terrible thing that happened. Care to clue us in?
And with that, you could tell that he kind of slumps in his seat a bit and goes, I don't know if it's my place to tell you. The couple that I told you that are out in Cloudcroft, it would be better if you learned it from them. Because anything that I would tell you would be terribly colored by how I was affected by it. And it would be unfair for me to explain it the way I saw it. Let's just say that something happened that caused a great deal of pain and destruction to the spirit world. Now, there were reasons for it, and you can tell that he's trying to have he's trying to say this in a very non-political manner. There were reasons for it, but there is no denying the damage that came from it, and it would be more. You would get a more honest and effective answer if you talk to these people in Cloudcroft instead of learning it from me. I'm sorry if it seems I'm trying to be trying to not answer your question. It's our people were so heavily affected by it. It's hard not to react viscerally to it. And it is not fair for me to tell you what happened than for you to learn on your own. Like, for example, it would not quite be fair for me to tell you about the time of colonial invasion when the people from the East decided to come here and conquer. It doesn't mean that I'm incorrect. It means that my way, the way I view it is not exactly the most clinical way to view it. And he's very clearly talking about Europeans coming over and conquering North America.
So you were here for that?
No, I was not, but I very much do have opinions on it. But
Who wouldn't?
Well, no, who wouldn't?
But my point is, me trying to explain it to you, me trying to explain the great tragedy to you, is in a similar vein. It would be better if you learned it from someone who could tell you about it clinically. And with that, he kind of like takes a sip of his coffee, sort of doing it a unofficial signal of like, I want to stop talking about that.
Yeah, sure.
We've discussed a lot about why, but
Fluke, can I get you to Fluke? Can I get you to speak up a little bit?
I feel like it's better to ask if you need any assistance.
Oh, I do appreciate your offer, but our people are more than suited to take care of this. It's what we were made for. But we did want to make sure that we got your permission to cross your sacred lands, to do our duty on lands that you have the clear right of.
We definitely appreciate you asking, and it shows that you are the better people compared to others. And I would say we probably have to talk privately about this, but I wouldn't be opposed. So maybe if you could come back tomorrow or something and give us an opportunity to talk about this.
We can do that. When is the time that would best work for you? And you guys work out a meetup thing, and they'll come back then.
Unless everyone else just says no, let's agree. But I think we need a little bit more time to talk about this.
He's very accepting, and the one that is sitting next to Tatiana, you can tell that he takes a deep breath and is like, oh, okay, don't have to worry about that. And with that, he also scoots another inch away from her. Yeah, it's not that it's just that you make him feel uncomfortable, Tatiana. It's
No, I'm having fun with it. I'm messing with him. It's what I do. So, but I'm gonna sit there, pointedly ignore him, look at the guy who's with them. It's like, oh, by the way, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Tatiana, and I completely bypass the guy who's uncomfortable.
You're talking about the other young individual?
Yeah.
And you stretch your hand to him?
And I literally reach across the uncomfortable guy to try to shake this guy's hand.
Oh, he gently grabs the tips of your forefinger and middle finger, and very gently shakes your hand and nods in acceptance to you, but he's trying to be quiet as well.
So I'm just gonna tilt my head. It's like you don't get it. You don't get a chance to mix much with common society, do you?
And he does a shrug, and he kind of leans back to try and get out of your way.
Cute.
Do they have names?
So at this point, John's going like, do forgive my mates here. They they are they are very enthusiastic, but only they're very enthusiastic in their own, in the venues that they would prefer to interact with. And at this, he kind of like gently coughs to himself, and he says, they were here to protect me. And he says that, but you can instantly tell that these guys, although they could be helpful, he is way more powerful than them. But he says they were here to protect me, but he ruffles the hair of the one that's sitting next to you. He's like, but they don't really speak to outside people much. And the one who had his hair ruffled kind of does a sideward glare at him, but doesn't say anything.
I just chuckle and just I let it go and just say, well, it was nice meeting you. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right. So, is there anything else anyone wants to talk to them about before they leave?
Arthur isn't gonna talk to them, but when they turn and they start walking away, he is gonna go up and he's got his harmonica in his hand and he's focusing on. He's gonna try to see them through like spirit and prime.
Oh, you want to sense them basically?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I used a term from a different game system right there. I apologize.
I mean, it sounds
Shadowrun terminology as you
Well,
Yeah.
you also used 1 hit point, so
Uh,
Well, then again,
so,
I mean,
so, uh, you open your vision to look at them, and it's very weird. When it comes to normal people, you a person's body and soul and spirit, when you look at them, they're all one thing, right? But when you look at these people, you can see two things overlapping each other. You see their normal, or rather the Prime's version of their normal body, but you also see this 8-foot towering, roughly humanoid, thickly muscled, bipedal, wolf man type thing that matches that. They are overlapping each other. They are the same thing, but they are of two worlds. So I didn't have you roll to do that. However, I will have you. 1 second. Let me look at this real quick. I will have you do a charisma empathy roll to try and to roll that to see if they didn't notice.
Charisma and empathy.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here.
Because you're trying to scan them, but you don't necessarily want them to know that you're scanning them. Yes.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Roll / roll 6B. Wait, is it 7? It's no, it's the dice. Is it 70-10 or 60 or?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 70-10, right?
Yeah. Ooh, okay, yeah. You got it. But with that one there, that could have been so so as you do that roll, you could tell that the younger ones decidedly did not notice. But as as you finish up and the elderly gentleman is going out the door, he slightly turns his head enough to see you with one eye, and he winks.
Arthur probably just like when he saw him winking, he swallowed a little hard, and he's just like, okay, cool.
All right. So they walk away, and they leave. What do you guys want to do?
Yeah, does anyone have a good reason why they shouldn't agree?
Question: When Arthur he scanned them, did he sense any kind of malevolence or any kind of like negative aspect to them?
With Prime and Spirit?
Yeah.
That's not something that Prime or Spirit would.
Would be mind,
Yeah,
right?
that would be mind.
Oh, that'd be mine. Oh, okay. But like, as far as Prime goes, it wasn't like corrupted like the ghoul.
Oh no,
the
it
thieves.
absolutely like apples and oranges, like you see one in the daylight and one in the pitch black of night. You know, you see the apple in the daylight and you see the orange in the pitch black of night. It's absolutely, completely unrelated.
Okay. So Arthur's gonna say no. He can't think of any reason, and if something's gonna happen, it would be rather. It's probably better to have somebody with some knowledge on what's going on.
I see lots of things that could go wrong with this, but nothing that would really be improved by us saying no. As I said, if we are scared that this might lead to a fight because they don't want to give it back or something, if we say no, that probably would lead to the same fight, so I don't see a reason to say no.
And the thing is, I get the impression that
Fluke, could you speak up a little bit?
I get the impression that it's just that if we say no, it will be done by force, whether we like it or not. That it was more of a courtesy thing than actually an option.
Yeah, I think as long as we all play nice, we can stay friends, and that would be to the advantage of everyone, right?
Tatiana, what do you think?
Well, I think if they don't want to give it back, I'll just start hugging them.
Sounds like a good backup plan.
Yeah.
With the power of hugs!
Also, we should probably try to find more about who they actually are and what they can do.
As far as what they are, and then Arthur explains what he saw when he scanned them. You know, the 8-foot.
Okay. That sounds like not something I want to deal with.
And for the record, if you did not include your spirit sphere, you would not have gotten that.
Oh, good. I got it. I didn't figure it out. What did you call it? Fairy deal, where you gotta know exactly what you're asking.
Yeah, a fey deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else anyone would like to do before you meet up again tomorrow?
Well, I think they seem to be asking us as if this is like a big favor to them if we allow them here.
Well, as far as I understood the old man, it is something that is not common to give someone else access to your place of power. On the other hand, they are kind of agreeing to do our dirty work for us, because as owner of the node, we would be expected to keep it safe and clean. So I don't know.
You guys don't want to ask them for anything fun, like a 6-pack of beer? Do you have a favorite whiskey you want to drink?
Well,
Arthur's like,
if
I'd
they
rather not
are
provoke them.
really 8 feet tall Native American giant wolves, there's probably something better we can get out of them than a bottle of whiskey, but
The GM giggles.
I don't know if they would be open to that, or if this is common, because as they have pointed their finger succinctly at, is we are kind of new at this, but I'd rather have them as allies for the future than as enemies. They sound as something that could be really, really helpful if we need it.
And what's
Yes.
more what's not more social than alcohol? Well, then again, Native
Well,
American metabolisms being what they are.
that might be a bad take on this, but I don't think alcohol is a good thing to bond over regarding the history of. Yeah.
Okay, so that aside, are you guys kind of going with the concept of allow them access but tax them?
Arthur just wants to allow them access. He does not want to tax them.
I would just say yes and leave the door open for future cooperation. But if we want to extract a symbolic price,
Well, that's
that
I'd
has
like
no
to
real
point.
value, but it is more like, yeah, let's do a trade. We give you something, you give
Well,
us something.
that's what
that
they
would
were
be-
offering, giving you information about this this couple
Yeah.
in Cloudcroft. That's what they were offering because,
And a pack of gum.
and a pack of gum. Okay. Anyone else?
I could agree to that. Yeah, as long as it's symbolic and not meant or prone to antagonize them, I don't have a problem with it. I can see the reason behind it, to say we acknowledge that we are not doing this for free or because we allow you to push us around, but we also acknowledge that you are kind of doing us a favor and we are not really extracting a price out of you. I can say.
What do you call it? Did you ever buy a CD when Walmart was having their like free CD sales and it was 1 penny, something like that?
Yeah, something like that, I think.
All right, that sounds good.
Okay. So, is there anything anyone wants to do during the before you meet up, or
The question is, can I find out anything about Native American werewolves with either
well, okay, you don't know.
magic or library?
Okay, you don't know. Okay, all you know is that they are dual spirited. You don't necessarily know that that's a werewolf thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I know my character.
For all we
does
know, our
they are
spirit
werewolves.
animal, their spirit animals are all wolves.
Yeah, I don't know. But that is the question. Can I find something out about that by either using magic or using a library? Even if it's wrong information or something that is not true in the world of darkness, I wouldn't know it. I would still look that up and say, that makes sense. I have.
So you're talking about a mundane
point in
library. Yeah.
Research and occult investigation.
Well, um, uh, uh, so if if you're if you're looking at it through mundane means,
Yeah, I assume there is a lot of misinformation out there. It is like trying to look up what we are by reading Harry Potter. I agree, but it's still better than nothing.
okay. I'm gonna say, well, could I officially get the roll since?
Yeah. What should I roll? Just research or
Yeah, I'll say like, on
roll intelligence?
intelligence
And research?
research. Yeah.
Does logic specialization help me with that?
Sure.
Good.
It's not esoteric enough that logic wouldn't apply, at least the way that you're looking.
Okay. Standard difficulty.
Yeah.
Just
Looks good.
Yeah. So, you are looking for supernatural things that have an affinity with wolves? Is that exactly what you're looking for?
Yeah, I'm general or specifically looking at local myths and legends about Native Americans that are connected to wolves, because I think that probably gives the most specific information. But if I can find about anything that has to do with kind of like spirit world and wolves and stuff, I will take that as well.
Okay. Well, for Native American stuff, the first thing that kind of come up that's like technically related is the uh, the Native American deity of coyote.
Mm-hmm.
And given the dual nature concept, you could say, well, maybe they are his bound servants or something. Um, as far as uh, as far as anything more than that, there is a role playing game that talks about lichens. That sort of says that there is a connection between uh between uh, uh, uh werewolves and the spirits, but they are the villains. They are very, very negatively depicted in
Yeah, I've never been a fan of those Black Dog games. They're kind of very dystopian.
For our listeners at home, Black Dog Games is ostensibly the in-world equivalent of White Wolf Games. So it's sort of a tongue-in-cheek reference to the setting in itself. There is more to that, but we'll just stick with that for now. As for, let's say that you look up, oh, well, you follow the trail of looking up werewolves in, outside of the setting of that game, and there's information of how to fight them. There's you find a lot of like conflicting information. There is a Irish there is a Irish depiction of werewolves that is very kind, that almost seems incredibly out of place, but is so incredibly detailed, where the werewolf would do acts of charity and providing fish for the for the extreme poor of the village and things like that. You also find references, modern interpretations of the berserker possibly being something similar, but ultimately what you get is a lot of conflicting information.
Yeah. I kind of expected that, but I had to try and see if I can find it.
That being said, most of the lore when it comes to fighting them is pretty consistent. So
Silver, Wolfsbane, Fire.
yeah, well, pretty much everything is not a fan of fire.
That is kind of true. Burning is not fun.
Not conducive to good health. But that's pretty much what you get. I mean, if you did exceptionally well, I could have given you more, but I think that's about what you would find.
No, that's okay.
Is there anything else anyone wants to do during the course of the next day?
I think that you mean like just start. So we're gonna go to the next day, like right before we have to go to the meeting.
Well, no, I'm saying if there's something that you want to do before the meeting.
Oh, yeah. Arthur kind of wanted to just drive around Cloudcroft and see if he can. He's gonna try and have like his what do you call it?
He's
try him out and just to see if he notices anything weird. Like, see if he notices.
Okay. I should let you know your prime vision or your prime senses. They only go out like maybe at max 50 feet. So you would be ostensibly driving down the street looking left and right and 50 feet away from your car and try and see something while driving.
Never mind. That's true. Yeah, never mind. Then I guess he'll just.
And I mean, if you want to do that, I won't stop you. I can tell you what you see, but but yeah, I'll give you this for free. You'd be like, well, that's not necessarily a good use of your time.
Yeah, no, that's what I like. After you explained it, like, no, I mean, over time it might work, but that'd be like days or like a long systematic, piece by piece type deal. So okay, no, he'll just show up and be ready at the meeting with his staff. And well, no, never mind. He's not gonna have his staff. He doesn't want to provoke them.
Mm. Well, it's also one of these. They're coming to your sanctum. This is your place of power, so it would not be out of the ordinary to like be sitting down and have your tools within reach. It's not an impossibility.
Oh.
It's just, I wouldn't, be aiming weapons at them or, what could be conceived as weapons at them. But if you're concerned over a dust up, it is very within reason that you could have something within reach.
Oh, okay. Well, that's true. Makes sense.
Anyone else have something they want to do during the day before the meeting?
I think I'm occupied enough, but I'll be right back.
Okay.
I guess I would take a shower with non-scented soap.
What scented soap?
Not scented.
Oh, unscented. Okay.
Yeah, unscented. I didn't want to say it in during the RP because there wasn't the moment for it. But, I was very tempted to once interject with the reason for the awkwardness might be because they think we smell. After I've heard that they have some kind of wolf spirit with them.
Okay. I mean, that's not. I could see you coming to that conclusion.
I mean, they do say dog smells like what 100 times as more sensitive than a human. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Well, when it comes to sensing the world, humans are sight, touch, smell. Canines are scent, touch, sight. The priority of
Isn't I was gonna say I heard hearing was above sight for dogs.
well, okay, fair, but either way,
Yeah.
scent is one of their is pretty much their primary way of observing the world.
Yeah.
Trying to think of So, Arthur, I don't think you mentioned what you decided to do with your cut of the money, and if you were thinking of what you had mentioned a interest in trying to return the jewelry, but you didn't really talk about whether or not you where you were with that. And I figured since Thierry's off getting something real quick, we could cover that now.
Oh well, he still hasn't decided yet. Because he doesn't want to travel around with a lot of jewelry that was stolen. So he just kind of like he used the when he got the locations, he kind of like mapped them out as best he could, and so he has a general idea of where they go. But yeah, he hasn't so really figured that out yet.
Well, I mean, in theory, okay. In theory, what you could do, especially if you know who owns it and all that, is you could go to the post office, get those, super thick, one, if it fits, it ships letters, and get the addresses down, and then like mail them all across town.
Yeah, I guess he could do that. I mean,
And it also kind of depends on how everyone else feels about that.
yeah. I can't. Did anybody else want any of the jewelry? Anybody's characters want it?
No, not
wanted
really.
I just would make sure you don't leave a paper trail to us,
Yeah.
that we don't get screwed over by them. If you
Yeah.
can't post it there like 2 or 3 cities away.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna say it wouldn't take much to cover it up. I mean, even mundanely covered up, it wouldn't take much. Especially since you are giving something as opposed to taking something. I don't think it would be something that could bounce back on you. All right, Thierry, are you
a lot
back?
of people don't.
Yes, I'm back.
Okay. So are we
Also, by the way,
ready?
it is,
Abreu, you were saying something?
I was asking if the sound is better now. I upped the sensitivity of the.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I can hear you a little bit.
Yeah, everybody's okay. So, are we ready to
Yeah.
do the meeting?
Yes.
All right. So, right on schedule. The car pulls up. They come out, knock on the door, and they wait to be invited in. Very polite. So, who answers the door?
Yes,
I'll
I
answer
will
it.
open the door. Oh, go ahead.
So, Tan?
Smile, wave, invite him in.
Have we agreed on who's gonna talk to them and what we actually want to propose?
I believe you got as far as your decision is you were going to tell them we will allow you on our lands for the information that you offered and a stick of gum.
Yeah, I
No,
think
not a
that
stick
was,
of gum, a pack of
A
gum.
pack of gum. I'm sorry.
Yes.
that was the last proposal. Yeah.
Okay. As for who's talking to them, I think you guys could pick right now because you would have had plenty of time to bring it up.
Well, I'm pretty charismatic, so if no one else does, I'd take the lead.
Okay, so they come in, you invite them to sit down, and
Yes, John, come in, please sit down. Your
I'd like
associates-
to point out that these are not the same.
Not the same guys. Okay.
Not the same guys. Okay.
That is
John's there, but the two people with him are not the same people.
Well, I will still invite
Oh.
John in by name and his associates. And please
So
sit down. Yes?
No, I'm just saying, yeah. Hi, I'm Tatiana, and I go to shake the two new guys' hands.
And
And yeah, come sit.
when you shake their hand, they kind of do the same thing that the other guy did, where it's like they grab your hand by the two fingers, give you a polite but distanced handshake, and a head nod, and they go sit down. These two seem to be a bit more able to be reserved, but yeah, they're trying. You can tell that they're like, I'm trying to be nice, type of thing.
I look at I'll
hey,
look at John, and I'll smile and give him a wink and tell him it's good to see you again.
So he gives you a small smile and nods, and everybody sits down, and
Can I offer you something to drink? Coffee, Pepsi, lemonade.
they all politely decline because you can kind of tell that they're like, okay, we're waiting on our answer, type of
Okay.
thing.
Yeah, we have talked about this among us, and we've come to the decision that I think it is in our all best interest if we allow you to do this. We would be really happy to take the information you offered us about the couple. But we also decided that it would send kind of the wrong signal if we just acquiesced to what you were offering to us when in fact you want something from us. So as some kind of symbolic prize, we would ask you for a pack of gum for the lady, and then we would grant you access to our node, or a cairn, as you say, for the time that you need.
So as you're saying that, John has a list of emotions as you say each particular thing. Is like at first he's like, uh-oh, then he's like, okay, and then he's like, uh-huh, and as soon as you get to the gum, he starts doing a quiet chuckle and nods, and he says, we will pay your price. And we're very happy to that we could come together on this. And he out of his breast pocket, he pulls out what looks like a business card and a gold coin. And he says, on the card you will find their information, but after you get set up to go to them, make sure you have that coin on your person. It'll work if everyone's in proximity, but make sure that you have that coin.
Okay. I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Anything else we need to discuss?
I think that's all that we need to do at this point. And once again, you could tell he's really relieved that you guys are that you guys kind of came to this conclusion, and they kind of like everybody kind of gets up, nods, and gives various pleasantries, and they kind of like extricate themselves soon thereafter, and they give you. And before they leave, they say, "Okay, the shallowing will occur in 2 weeks, and will happen between this day and this day. We will be there at that point. We will not keep you from your node. However, we highly suggest that if you do want to be there at that time, we will be there in force, but we will highly suggest that you keep your distance. If you want to be there and observe, that is your right. It is your care at node, but it is dangerous."
Okay.
And with that, unless anyone else has something to say, they'll take their leave and go.
No, I don't have anything.
I don't have anything. I would say well, thank you for the politeness and wish a fruitful cooperation.
And
That's about all I have to say.
and they're happy with doing that as well. Everybody just waving goodbye at this point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Smile and wave, boys.
Wave.
Just smile and wave.
All right.
I love moments like this. I like to wave to them when they go by in the distance.
All right. So the card that they give you, it gives an address, a phone number, and it says, Koduk Phillips and Ronnie Phillips. And it has an address, has a phone number, and those are the names.
Who wants to do the phone call?
I'll do the phone call.
Sure.
I was busy taking notes, so I kind of missed the names. What are their names again?
I'm sorry, I misspoke. Korak Dosla, not Philip. Not Phillips, but it's Dosla. Had to bring their sheet up. Kurek Dosla and Ronnie Dosla.
Let me pull them up.
So after a couple rings, you hear a a younger gentleman pick up the phone and say, "Hello, who is this?"
Up. I don't say this in chapter. Yes, this is Luke. We were told to contact you by our
one
friends
second.
of.
One second. Let me get him for you. And you can tell he kind of like puts his hand over the phone, and you hear like kind of a muffled, "Karuk, we got a phone call." And after a couple seconds, you get there's a more deeper voiced comes to the phone. It's like, "Hello, how can I help you?"
Oh, this is Luke. Am I speaking with Clark or Ronnie? Tosca?
Yes, this is Karuk Tesla. Can I help you?
Yes, we were told that you might be able to teach us some things by a certain. Where did I write down this name?
John Whitecorn.
John Whitecorn.
Ah.
John
Okay.
Whitecorn. I hope he notified you guys.
So, are you the young group of mages that he was talking about?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
I say hesitantly because I'm not used to.
Yeah, he's just like.
Wait.
He's just saying it, He's not, trying to just hide it. He's like, "Oh, you guys are these mage will workers that John Whitecorn told me about." So he says, "Ah, okay. I assume your sanctum, not your cabal, and his pack have come to an accord. Yes."
Yes, we've had some fruitful negotiations, and we have now reached a agreement for this boat.
Okay, and I believe you were you were led in our direction so that we can help fill you in on a few things.
Yes, that was our intention indeed.
Okay, so we are, very, are very willing to have you come over, and we can like sit down and talk if you'd like. Ronnie and I are retired, so our schedule's pretty open. So when would work best for you?
I will ask my fellow mages.
So you
I
guys.
asked the question of. Okay, so what they do, we want to come over.
Yeah, they want to set up a time for you guys to come over to their place.
I'm a more or less an independent consultant, so I'm pretty flexible. So I'm okay with
So,
Basically anything, as long as the rest is okay with it.
all right, so I assume you guys like come up with a appropriate time where you can, drive over to Cloudcroft and go to their place and meet up.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say that it would probably be in a couple days. Is there anything anyone wants to do in the intervening time between the call and the visit?
Can we do some research on them? Just to kind of see if we get any internet hits or
Okay, sure.
any kind of a background search check.
There is a internet page dedicated to don't talk to these people. They will eat you or something. Yeah.
All right, go ahead and give me a roll, and ask me exactly what you're looking for.
I just want any information personally.
So,
I'm just looking for newspaper articles where their name shows up.
so,
Research.
What would I be rolling?
I'd say that you would be rolling, either investigation or, I think investigation would be, investigation, perception or intelligence. Well, not intelligence. Yeah, like intelligence, research, or investigation.
I have 5 successes.
Okay. And you are doing an internet search?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if we have a couple of days, I might go to the local newspaper archive if their internet presence isn't very good. But primarily, I'm just looking in the on the internet and see if I find any local newspaper or news where their names are mentioned.
So you are looking them up mundanely, not through magical means.
Yes.
Okay. Well, with that roll, I'm going to say that that's yeah. So with that roll, I'm going to say that you were able to find with the names provided with you, you were able to find Korak Dasla, but you were not able to find Ronnie because you only have her first name. Because there is absolutely no reference to Korak Dasla or Ronnie Dasla after there's nothing current about them whatsoever. Because you have his last name, you could you can find that he does have. You can find information about him that he was a he was a very academically successful individual who he had a full ride into MIT and was into theoretical physics, and he was about 3/4 the way through his doctorate when he disappeared. After that, there is no record of him whatsoever.
Okay, that is. Even no information is some information, so that is interesting to know.
But through mundane means, that's like the only thing that you can get, because it's very clear that their record footprint has been removed.
Sounds familiar.
But the difference being that he didn't disappear as in go missing. It's that he was in the middle of his doctorate, and then all information about him afterward is gone. There was no. It isn't like he disappeared and there was a police investigation. It was just his presence on the record disappears at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have 3 dots in arcane. I think I have an idea what's going on here.
So that's pretty much like what everyone gets as far as any roles are concerned. They have, that is about as far as anyone can get using mundane means.
So Arthur wanted to, if it's possible, he wanted to look up see if he could find anything on shallowing and on the dates that they said, like if there's anything specific or relevant about those dates that they gave, because they gave kind of like oddly specific dates that he thought.
Oh, okay. Well, as far as well, I guess you're gonna have to give me a roll.
Sure. What do you?
Just investigation or academics and intelligence.
Okay. Slash roll. Alrighty.
Okay. Let me see. Okay. There.
Good roll.
There is a. You couldn't find anything on the word shallowing. As far as research is concerned, because it's not a specific enough word for anything that you would know that you could research. However, within the date that they brought up, there is a astronomical phenomena that is referred to as a supermoon. Where basically the moon has a greater pull and appears bigger than it actually is, and there are certain aspects of the phenomena where it will appear ruddier than normal. But so basically the moon is going to have a much higher influence than it normally does. And using mundane means that's about the information that you can put together.
Is there a way how we could use magic? Because I don't think I have the right magic for that.
To look up what?
Yeah, if you say mundanely that is everything we can find out, is there a way that we know how we could use magic to researching the people?
Yeah. Well, you have a card. Oh, one moment. You have a card that represents them, and you have a coin that is connected to them. So with either fate or or I'm going to say correspondence, I'm going to say that is a strong enough link that you could try to try and find information about them that way, I think.
Yeah. So I guess someone else has to do that. I don't have the right.
I mean, Arthur can do it.
I'll do it.
Yeah, I'll do it. Should I just roll the correspondence roll, or?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, roll the correspondence roll.
Yes, I still think using magic in the system is weird.
Yeah, well, it's one of these. Well, okay, it's more of a system commentary, but the system is built around that they want you to do all of the effects.
Yeah, no, it's not about the system that it is, hey, correspondence can do this, and with this level you can do this kind of power, and with this level you can do this kind of power. It is more like every other role is roll an attribute and a skill and maybe a bonus. And magic in this system is roll this very weird dice pool that does not include your magic skill, but also gets some kind of bonus, but it's weird.
Yeah.
Makes a good point.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So
Because
what
one
you're
would
saying.
expect to roll a correspondence spell to roll arete plus correspondence, but you don't.
all right. Anyway, so with the roll that you get, you with your link of this, what you can see is you can see that using correspondence and using correspondence on a level that is vastly superior to yours, you can see that that their footprint was erased. That there is no question. It isn't like the paperwork didn't exist. It did exist, but it was removed, and it was removed magically. Specifically using correspondence. So the person that did it was a mage, and you can know that without a doubt.
I see. All right. So yeah, I'll just let them know that there's nothing, that I'm not gonna be able to find anything, and this was done, with something similar to what we have.
No. There is no something similar. It is the same thing. It's just that they are way better at it than you.
Right. So he's gonna be like, yeah.
It's sort of like a craftsman, recognizing another craftsman's work. Like.
Oh, okay, that's a better way to put it. I was thinking in terms of power levels, and I'm like, I don't know how to quantify that through character.
Well, it's one of these, whoever it is way better at it than you, and that's kind of how that you would put it. It was like, the detail that they went to is incredible.
Yeah, it's
okay. So we've been at this for about 2 hours. How's everybody doing as far as time availability?
I'm good. I can continue if anybody else wants to, but if not, that's cool.
I can go on.
Albreo?
I am good.
Okay. Onward we go. So, is there anything else anyone wants to do before going for this meeting?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. So, you all get into a single car, or you guys, a couple cars, and you make your way across White Sands National Monument, which it is a giant gypsum desert between Las Cruces and a town called Alamogordo. And once you get to Alamogordo, you go north and around to around the mountain and back upward to Cloudcroft. And as you go farther and farther up, it gets rockier and rockier and greener and greener, with as trees growing, becoming far more prevalent until it's like a very forested area. And you drive through town, and it's like, wow, okay, this is definitely a quaint little town that and it's not quite tourist trappy, but you can tell that this is a place that is snowbird, ski orientated. But you go to the address, and it starts going down back roads, getting rougher and rougher. It's still gravelly, but it's like getting like thicker and thicker chunks. It's still passable, but you can tell that this is not a road that is deliberately maintained. And you get to a certain point, and you feel something. I'm going to say that you're all in the same car for this, but you're driving, and all of a sudden you get like hit with a wall of weirdness. But you can feel it give as you pass through. And as you pass through, you're like, what the fuck was that? Because for a bare instant you had the feeling of like, I don't belong here, I should go away. But it was like there for like a brief instant, and then as the momentum of the car pushed through, there was no time to like take your foot off the gas and hit the brake. It was like bam, there and gone, and you're continuing forward.
Mm-hmm.
So you continue down this road, and it's like another like a quarter mile, and then you get hit with another one, and then there's another quarter mile, and you get hit with another one. And you get another quarter mile, and you get hit with another one, and it's just before you start to hit a hill, and you pass through it and then crest the hill, and you can see that there is a obviously this is someone's like homestead compound type thing. There are a few buildings. There are a few buildings there. Log cabins. That seems to be the aesthetic that they're going for. Is like lots of log cabins. Like there's like one very large building, and like about half a dozen smaller buildings, and as well as a couple of vehicles. And in Star Wars, you saw those structures that was like you assumed were like moisture collectors from Alderaan when it came to Luke's aunt and uncle's farm. You're like, oh, this is the moisture collectors. They've got a few things out that are like that, where it's like, oh, well, that's a thing. And as you continue to approach, because you got to go down the hill, and there's about another mile of open valley before you actually get there. So you've got time to observe the homestead. You can see that there is a lot of activity going on. Now, I wouldn't say frantic activity, but you can see a person leading cattle around a building, and you could see a couple of people working with horses, and a couple of people corralling sheep and all that. So it's an active area, right? And as you approach, I'm going to say that there's like about 200 feet of road that goes between the farm buildings and all that. And as you're passing through, that you notice that these people that are dealing with stuff aren't human. A couple of them are, obviously cyborg-like robots attending to it. Some of them are the bipedal people are bipedal, somewhat humanoid, but they have additional arms or specialized limbs. And as you're getting closer, you're seeing bees that are like about half a foot long, as opposed to the standard size. And it's very clear that this place, there's a lot going on, and through context clues, it's very clear that what you passed through was wards to try and keep the normies out, so to speak.
Yeah.
And as you pull around to the parking circle in front of what you would believe is the main house, you see this this Native American man's standing on the porch, leaning against one of the supports, with a cup of coffee, just waiting for you. And he gives you guys a nod as you get out of your car, as you park and get out of your car. And he's basically waiting for you.
Okay. I'll come in.
As we're driving in, does anybody react or seem to take notice of us? Like, how's the reaction to a new vehicle? Is there hostility, curiosity?
They are handling their duties. They don't really pay attention to you.
All right,
right. They're busy doing what they're doing.
Can I use just my prime sense to see if there's any, like, I'm curious if there's like a node in this area, or if there's anything that I can feel that's special about this area, why it would be here, or it was just, yeah.
You can tell that there is a node here, but it is like about like one or there are it's a couple of degrees weaker than yours. It's it's there, but if you're looking for a reason why all this weirdness is here, the node is not why.
Oh.
And as far as the gentleman is concerned, he's sort of dressed up in a. I don't know if Tyrior or Brejo will get this, but you ever see the older guys who are wearing like leather fringe vests, who are like trying really hard to be like, I'm a cowboy type of thing? Yeah, he's kind of got that thing going on. He doesn't have a cowboy hat on or anything like that, but he's kind of got the whole like, I'm a rugged mountain man thing going.
He has a gaucho vest.
Less ostentatious, but pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
But just looking at him, you probably go like, this man is probably this guy is probably in his 30s, but he looks really good. But there's a certain age in his eyes.
Okay.
You look at him and you're like, this guy works out. Not that he's buff or anything, but he's like, this guy takes care of himself.
Let's see what he has to say to us.
And you guys get out of the car, and he goes like,
Yeah.
he goes like, nice to meet you.
Good day.
I'm Kodak. You guys want to come in, have a cup of coffee?
Yes, please. We would like to.
Sure.
Thank you. Yes.
So he welcomes you in, and the interior mostly is in the same style as his outfit. It's very, we're doing the Western cowboy thing, but we also have modern amenities type of thing.
Yeah.
But as you like continue to go through, you definitely see like weird devices attached to the wall, and what you would normally associate with a Roomba, but it obviously is like about a foot tall and has a bunch of specialized arms and tools attached to it. So it's like a little tiny droid, running around. And as you come in, you see like about a half a dozen dogs. They see you and then they try and get out of the way. But as far as the dogs are concerned, they've got really vivid fur patterns, in colorations that are decidedly not natural. Like, oh, there's aquamarine and neon pink and forest green in differing patterns. And the dogs see you. They don't bark or anything. They kind of go like, oh, there's someone here, and then they go someplace else. And there are all these little hints and tastes here and there where you look at around and you're like, okay, well, this is definitely not a normal person's house.
Mm-hmm.
On one wall there is the classic cowboy action, lever action and rifles on the wall, and cowboy revolver pistols, and a couple of really weird what you assume are guns, like lined up right next to them. So there's definitely like this weird mixed aesthetic.
Yeah.
But he guides you in to the living room, asks if anyone wants any coffee or tea, and he offers you like the standard soft drinks and stuff like that. And he apologizes, saying like we don't often get visitors and all that. And from around one of the corners, from another room comes this Hindustani woman comes around with she's although she's not wearing the cowboy getup, and she's not wearing like a traditional sari or anything like that. Although it does look like it's a very old fashioned conservative sundress, but it's kind of got like iridescent patterns on it, which really did not jive with the old-timey aesthetic. But the pattern is very old-timey. She also looks like she is a very, very well cared for mid-30s.
Okay.
One thing I should mention though is she does have a snake on her that is wrapped around her shoulders and her arm. But it's you almost don't notice it because it's very calm and mellow, laying against her.
Is it a poisonous snake, or is it like just a garden snake?
I'm going to say that you're not a herpetologist. Yeah. You're not there is no way that you can know that for certain, but it seems like it's a very calm. It looks like it's almost in torpor. It's just like hanging out.
Right.
But it does not look like a cobra or anything that most people would like
automatically. Yeah.
Yeah, you considering how it's wrapped around her, you would think it's more of a constrictor.
Okay, that makes sense.
As soon as she comes around the corner, she greets each of you, and you kind of get the feeling like that he jumped the gun in offering you beverages, because that's what she was going to do. Because you can tell that she wants to be the hostess, but she got there late. And she introduced herself as, I'm Ronnie. Nice to meet you, and shakes all your hand. And yes, she shakes your hand with the snake arm. But and unless one of you makes a big deal of it, she does it without realizing that she's doing it with the snake arm.
Cool.
I just roll with edges.
So all of you sit down, and they give you your drinks, and all that, and so so Ronnie kind of like sits down and says, "So, I take it from what I hear, you guys are pretty new, huh?"
Kinda, yeah.
You could say that.
And you are not associated with any of the conventions or traditions or anything like that, are you?
Don't know
I'm
what
not
those
sure what
are.
that even is.
Yeah, when we say we don't know what you're talking about, the answer is probably yes.
Okay. Um. Well then. Um. So, I guess we got a lot of ground to cover. Uh. So, how do each of you approach your magic? And then as soon as she says that, you can tell that that Kurik kind of like has an involuntary, cringy spasm.
Mm-hmm.
But he lets it go, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Through movement and meditation here.
Mm-hmm. And she like looks to
I
yeah.
I focus on things that make sense with what I'm trying to get done. That's
Okay. She looks to Fluke and
Alright, mostly do it by kind of touch.
could you say that again? You didn't
Cool.
come through.
I mostly do it by touching materials or tools, kind of. Helps me think about it.
So she nods her head and she says, "So technologically, okay." She then looks to Klaus.
Mostly I've been using tarot cards or dice or something like that, but I'm mostly adding to that by using different languages, Latin invocations, geometric shapes like magic circles or stuff like that.
Okay. And you figured all this out on your own? She says,
Mostly.
"Okay."
Pretty much.
uh we did have there was an incident though that kind of brought us all together. Real quick, out of play, did the lady that appeared to us, did she give us a name?
I believe it was Mei Zhao.
Yeah.
Okay. So back into character, he's like, we might have met somebody by the name of Mei Zhao dealing with some kind of creatures. I don't know, that name strikes a bell.
So with that name, she looks to Kurik, and he looks at her, and they both kind of shake their head, not. I mean, like I've never heard about this never heard of this person. And she responds with like, "Well, we've been out of the game a while, so it's very likely that we wouldn't know anyone anyway, but it was a positive interaction, I hope."
Uh, we didn't die. Those
Yeah.
the things that she was dealing with seemed pretty aggressive, so I would say so.
Okay.
Anytime where you don't die is a positive interaction.
Yes.
And with that statement, Kurak,
Confirm.
Kurak gives you the finger guns and goes, "Yep." So, and Ronnie goes like, "But she didn't explain anything, or was she a
She did say
mentor?"
there'd be
Mm.
not so much. She kind of just we just kind of I guess we caught her in a transitional period, and he gives us a heads up that maybe we do need to be grouped together because there's a lot of things out there. It was more like
That there
a
are.
do this to survive kind of deal, and then she left.
Ah, okay. Okay, well, that's so you pretty much been on your own, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
He nods.
Um, and I take it your main interaction with the night folk has been no, that's the wrong phrase. They don't use that. Your main interaction with the world at large has been John Whitecorn and his guru.
There was
What?
something.
You haven't dealt with much outside of John and his guru. Yes.
We did have one weird thing, and I'm not sure what they were. And so he's going to describe the pattern that he saw and the ordeal with the device
Ah.
on the.
Oh,
the
you tell her about the device.
Yes, because I mean we don't know what it is. I mean,
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. And
we had a good idea what it was, but
okay.
it's,
I assume you left that behind. Yes.
yes, it's safely locked away in my vault.
Okay. Cool.
Well, in the group's vault.
Okay. Well, so you tell her about that situation, and as soon as you tell her about how how the device worked and how they had survived and their association with a boss that they were infatuated with, she up until you get to the point where they were infatuated with through kissing her wrist, she goes, ah, okay. And with that, she goes like, so they didn't see you, did they? When you removed this object from them, they didn't see you.
I don't think
No,
so.
we sedated them first.
Okay. And there were no cameras or anything like that? And the answer to that is no. There weren't any there was no surveillance on their end. But she wants to make sure that you were not observed.
No, they were pretty I think they were trying to hide what they were doing.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Well, I'm glad then. it sounds like they were that it was only a matter of time until someone got hurt. But it's good that this did not that it looks like it's not going to come back on you because you guys do. It looks like you guys do not need to have that kind of heat on you. And with that, she kind of like takes a moment and like processes what's going on, and she says, "I want to thank you for letting John Whitecorn and his people take care of your node during this time, because I don't mean to cause offense, but that's not something that you would be able to take care of on your own." And with that, so she kind of like takes a breath and drinks her tea and says, "So, how can I help you? How can we help you?"
I raise my hand and say, "So, what's a guru?"
I think that the common terminology is werewolf.
Okay.
I guess I got to kind of start from the beginning here. They are born of half spirit, half flesh, and it is their duty to make sure that the spirits interact with the material plane in a beneficial manner. That being said, they are dealing with their own war, and the storm did not do them any favors. So I'm very glad that you were able to work things amicably out with them.
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
I'm did they bring up the Avatar Storm?
They
Is
just
that
told us
the
something was coming up,
Could you
and he didn't explain anything.
is that
all right?
does that have to do with the what did they call it?
They
was
called it
something like
they
terrible
called
that
they called
happened?
it the tragedy.
Supermoon?
Yeah, was that the tragedy that they mentioned?
Yeah, he mentioned that shortly.
Yes.
He kept mentioning a tragedy.
Yes, that would be the Avatar Storm. Oof. That's a lot to
What's an avatar?
unpack. So, so I guess we can kind of to start at the beginning would take too long, but let's try to there. So Kurik and I, and she outreaches her arm to indicate him. She says, "We were on opposite sides of a war of our own. You see, mages, once again, he kind of like sort of tries to flinch at that word because it's obvious that's not a word he likes, are human. And in a perfect world, everyone would be a mage. Everyone would be awakened. But the problem is, it's sort of like the Matrix. You can't be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. And although there are methods to increase your odds of finding it, unfortunately, it's a path of discovery only you can find. I mean, we have tools to help with that, but generally speaking, it's a path someone has to find on their own. But because we're all human, we all have our same foibles, and we are subject to the same flaws that humanity has. War, conflict of ideology, and all that. So the people that my side of the war, were traditionalists. We believed that awakening occurred through enlightenment. That although one could have a teacher, you needed to be able to discover it on your own. And it was, and as such, it was a sacred duty for us Magi to protect and you could, as she says this next part, you could tell that there's like a level of shame in saying it, and govern the sleepers, the normal people. Whereas his people, as she gestures to Korak, began with a group of us that believed that magic, the wonders that we can do, belong to all of humanity. And it was a beautiful idea. It was a wonderful idea. That all of humanity should be able to do what we do. And it started off as a wonderful attempt to bring. It was a wonderful plan, but such ideologies came into conflict, and in so doing, there were fundamental changes to reality that had to be made, to the consensus. And as such, as time progressed, his people brought forth science. And as humanity advanced and became more technologically focused, they were able to do things through their science and technology. Once they accepted that it was mundane and acceptable, they could do firearms, for example. For the longest time, it was something that only we could do. But as humanity accepted the advancement of science and chemistry, they were able to understand that it is something that anyone could do. And with that understanding, they made it so that they could. With sleepers, they need to get together on a even playing field to understand that reality is what you make of it. Our avatars enable us to affect the world. And until you are awakened, you have to work together as a whole to recognize what is real and what is not. And being in conflict with this idea, there was a war, the Ascension War. See, with my people, we believe that through advancement and understanding, that you can receive a certain point of get to a certain point where you enlighten and you ascend to a higher plane of being. What exactly that means is different is as different as there are different ways to do magic. But as such, that's what we were fighting for, was the ability to ascend. And as humanity became more focused on technology and less on wonder, my side's ability to do magic became diminished. Our paradox struck us harder than it did before. And as such, when people lose power, they fight. And for about 1,000 years or so, our side, we fought, and so many died. So many innocent died. But ultimately, as we fought each other, we also had to deal with the rest of the world. And the great tragedy that, John Whitecorn's people are referring to is what we call the Avatar Storm. In June of 1999, a great elder, and she says, let me back up a sec. You know the thieves that you were dealing with. They were beholden to a boss. That boss is something called a vampire. And the older they get, the greater generation that they get, the stronger that they become. And they can get so strong that their need to feed gets so strong that their only way that they can survive is if they fall asleep. Well, there was a conflict amongst their people. Well, not even their people. There was another type of creature that is very similar to a vampire that they were at war with, and they chose to fight the war through attrition. As such, they made a bunch of converts really quickly, and they just threw them at the enemy as cannon fodder. And as so many of their newly turned vampires died, it the smell of so many of that bloodline dying, it woke up their elders. And as the elders woke up, they fed on they near instantly fed on all these young vampires, and with so many losses, these elder vampires jumped into the fight with their enemy, and their enemy continued to wither, but with their elders being more active and spilling more and more and more vampire and near vampire blood, it woke up their tribe's progenitor. Their tribe's progenitor was very, very old and incredibly powerful. He was so powerful that his mere presence absolutely destroyed reality around him. And he woke up in Bangladesh, and they continued to, as he went forward, he not only destroyed reality around him, but drank up his own people and destroyed millions in his wake. And it got so bad that not only did their own people have to step in, but she, gestured to Kodak again. His people stepped in. They unleashed 3 magically altered nuclear bombs and dropped it on this thing because they needed to stop it, and even that didn't kill him. However, what did happen was those who were working with him kept up a monsoon that blocked the sun, and they used their satellites to ostensibly create 4 suns aiming at Bangladesh, but it couldn't reach him because of the monsoon. Well, the bombs destroyed their magic workings, and the sun was able to finally strike this grand elder, and with the sun it burned him away, but it didn't burn him away quickly. It took about an hour or so to destroy him. The problem was, as this upheaval was going, in the land of the dead, and the elder god Anubis followed the coming vampire spirits that were being annihilated, and followed them to the vampire land of the dead. Now, his people and the vampires have been at war with each other for a very long time, because the vampires don't die. They are a effrontery to death. So him finding a stronghold of the vampires in his domain was an absolute offense. So he gathered up his power and did his equivalent to a nuclear bomb on their city of the dead. Well, that happened almost at the same time as these metaphysically, prime infused nuclear bombs went off. So on one side of the veil, you had these prime bombs going off, and on the other side of the veil, you had a spirit destroying nuclear bomb go off. And in so doing, it created what we refer to as the Avatar Storm. And it was a tragedy for everyone involved. I'm not surprised that John Whitecorn's people refer to it as the tragedy, because that's what it was. It unleashed an incredible amount of prime energy forced into the spirit world, and it created a the spirit bomb on the other side broke so many bonds that were holding back demons and spirits on that side as the great conflagration occurred. And as all of that went off, it created a storm in the spirit world that killed so many dead spirits. And what was worse, and you could tell that she's having a very hard time saying this next part. It destroyed many human souls on the other side. So many of the dead that were at rest were utterly destroyed. So many spirits destroyed. It was terrible, absolutely terrible, but necessary. We could not let this elder vampire run free, but it was a Pyrrhic victory at the very least. And at first, his people, once again referring to Kirk, some of them decided to, see it as a victory. We sealed off the world of spirit, so that the world of reality is stronger. The problem with that was it cut off both his side and my side's our leadership, who had made strongholds on the spirit side. And what was worse was that the Avatar Storm made it all but impossible to cross over to that side. And because of that, all the people that were on that side died. Because, as you may know, physical transportation to the spirit world can only be maintained for 90 days. And she assumes that you knew this, by the way.
Okay.
And and what is unfortunate is the Avatar Storm finally ended like about 3 years ago. The problem is, though, because the spirit world was was so terribly destroyed, it burned more nodes into the veil. Let's for the sake of argument, let's say that there were like about 30 nodes in, before the Avatar Storm. Afterward, there were about 200. It thinned the veil in so many places, made existing nodes stronger. It's made the world far more dangerous. The veil exists for a reason. The physical world empowers the spirit world, and the spirit world empowers the physical world. But we cannot be allowed to mix without control. But since the Avatar Storm lasted so long and our leadership was destroyed, the war ended. But the problem with that, is with the war ending, our connections fell apart. His people had a connection of 5 groups, and without their leadership, they broke off into 3 distinct groups, one of which is practically no longer on Earth anymore. And with my side, there was no enemy anymore, so our association broke apart too. However, both sides did come together. Even the disparate alliance of the other traditions can we take a break a second? Someone's making a lot of noise.
Hold on. It's because they just turned on the AC in the house. Let me just...
Sorry.
Did that help, or...?
It's still going. Wait, what? It's getting a little quieter. There we go. That should be better. So, but we did come together with the understanding that we can't, with what happened with the Avatar Storm and the events that leaded up to it, we had to understand that we could not allow the veil of secrecy to drop. So we made a very, very loose alliance amongst each other. We call it the Compact of the Storm, where we ensure that no mage can break the veil. That's like our one rule, where we cannot allow the veil to be broken. And after that our main concern is making sure that everybody else minds their own business, because that's what started the Avatar War, the Ascension War. Is no one could mind their own damn business. How someone ascends. How someone ascends is their own business. And it was hard for his side to accept but the advancement of humanity had to be its own, under its own speed. Some of them accepted it, some of them didn't, but as long as the veil is standard, no one's willing to fight over it anymore. Thankfully. It's with great shame that I recall how bad it was. And with that, Kurik also nods his head. There are some out there that still want to lord over the sleepers, and and we do what we can, but we're limited to what the compact can accomplish. In a weird way, you are lucky because we all come from traditions or groups that had their own way of doing things. And because of that, everyone's stuck in their ways. You are free to do, as long as you keep the veil intact, you're free to do what you'd like. However, Kurik and I are retired. We don't want to be involved in this anymore. We're lucky that we found each other, and that's, as far as we're concerned, that's the only good thing that came out of this war. We can, if you would like, we can give you the information of nearby nearby outposts of the various organizations. We could do that for you, but I personally would suggest trying to avoid them until you have a strong enough power base to interact with them a bit more even-footed. And with that, she kind of like pauses and like thinks to herself, and then looks to Kurik and goes, "You think they would do well with the primer and all that?" And his response is like, he's been very content to just let her talk and let her handle that. But as soon as she says that, he kind of tenses up and goes, "That's a hell of a handout." And her response is, she responds to him going with, "We aren't using it, and they aren't bound by the foolishness of anyone else." And they kind of go back and forth for a bit, and to the point of like you being a little, feeling a little awkward, that like, oh, someone's having almost an argument in the same room. But they finally come to agreement where Kark, goes into a back room and goes to get something. and she goes, "So we're gonna help you, but I'd like to ask for a favor." So she decides to say in a loud voice, Jamie, could you come out here? And this this like 20 something, guy in what looks like sort of like a 1920s 1920s man about town type outfit. He comes out and he looks at you guys and looks at Ronnie and goes, "Yes, what's going on?" And she looks to you you guys and says, "I would like you, if you don't mind, to help us by taking on our apprentice here. I know his path is different than most of yours, but I think he would do better with a more active with a active cabal than a couple of retired archmages." You don't have to worry about fiscally supporting him or anything like that, but if you wouldn't mind including him with you, because I think what we are going to give you would be worth the ask. We will give you a oh darn it, now I'm trying to find the word for it. Pooh. We're going to give you a primer and darn it. I want to say preapt, but I don't think I think preapt's the basically it is a book that enables you to increase your arete. You still need to increase your arete without having to interact with your avatar at all. So basically, you don't have to have do your vision quest type thing to advance your arete. You still need to place in your your experience points and all that, but you don't have to have a a great
Training session.
yeah.
Feels like cheating.
Well, you don't have to use it if you don't want. That being said, you still have to dedicate yourself to studying it to do so. And it will only allow arete. It will only allow you to raise your arete until arete 5.
But just out of curiosity, what is it though? Is it like a book? Is it
Yes,
stone?
it is a book that that of art. It is ostensibly a wonder. That is a arcane book that helps you. That basically gives you insight. The same way a avatar, interacting with your avatar and going on your various vision quests will raise your arete, but basically it allows you to raise your arete without having to interact with it. So for example, if you were to not use this, we would kind of have to dedicate a session on your we would sort of have to dedicate a session specifically for that spirit journey.
Right.
So
okay, that's fair.
Because I'm if we could kind of I mean, there's nothing to say that we can't if someone wants to do it the old-fashioned way. but that way we don't have to like. I've heard,
Shine a spotlight.
yeah, because I mean, I've heard some people just do it in such a way that that you could have the other players play aspects of your personality to help you get through the vision quest thing, but that seems like that might be a little bit of an ask, so that's kind of why I was including it anyway. So they're willing to give this to you. Are you willing to accept Jimmy as into your Cabal?
Sure, he's got a lucky name.
How's everyone else
As
feel?
long as he doesn't become a super douche, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'll see problem
Yeah.
with it.
Okay.
Oh gosh, it's gonna be a bunch of escort missions.
No, it's not. So yeah.
This is gonna be like South Park. Oh, the guys they killed Jimmy.
not quite, but but so they're about ready to wrap things up. Is there anything you want to ask them specifically, or
No, because well, go ahead.
I am curious. Does the moon have anything to do with spirits? Is because,
you're
The-
trying
the
to
whole-
you're asking about the shallowing thing and how that's
yeah.
okay.
Connected.
So basically, certain astronomical positionings have greater pull on the veil and all that. And with this supermoon, it's going to put extra strain on the veil, and will create a shallowing. A shallowing is when, for a particular area, the veil drops. It's no longer there. You could physically walk into the spirit world and not even know it. Just be going from point A to point B, walk through a shallowing, and bam, you're in the spirit world.
Oh wow! So and that works both ways, right? Like,
Yes.
That's why
That's why they're there. They're there to make sure that nothing goes in and nothing goes out. That being said, if you guys really wanted to go in, John Whitecorn and his guru will not stop you. They will advise against it, but they will not stop you. This is your node.
So I know this is ironic coming from me. So like there was some truth to the zodiac. Is there anything else that people kind of think is generally harmless, but it's I know there's a lot, but is there anything specifically like certain stones or anything that do have like that kind of effect we should keep an eye out for, or just like a general rule?
Well, okay. So they explain that mages force their will on reality to alter it. And if they do it enough, basically they end up wearing a groove through reality. And the more that they wear that groove through, the easier it is for sleepers to do it. Sorcerers, which are ostensibly half awakened, are often also referred to as linear mages. They can do ostensibly only one sphere. and they have a limited range to do it, and they ultimately do so through rituals that they will release affecting they will release its effect when they want it to. It's called a hanging effect. So if they wanted to teleport to a safe spot at a given time, they could do that, but they have to prepare ahead of time. And if that groove and that worn down groove and consensus is worn down enough, sleepers can do it. Like for example, being able to get out of the atmosphere through being able to leave the atmosphere. That's something that only mages could do originally. Now, granted, they did it by like enchanting a vehicle and moving themselves out of it. However, through the consensus accepting what chemistry is and what chemistry can do, they can do that now. And ostensibly, mages, as I said, create a groove to make things happen through the effects of the consensus, and that's how all that tends to work.
Okay. Oh, okay. So it's just constant abuse. It's like Play-Doh. You put enough pressure on it and it changes shape. Just, I mean, it's not as easy as Play-Doh, but yeah. I think I
more like making the same movement on wood. It just wears a groove into it, or like stone stairs that people have been walking on for hundreds of years. There's a shallow spot where so many people have put their foot. That's how that works.
All right, that makes sense. I know that you mentioned like there's other groups, but you're not a part of you're retired, so you're not part of the other groups. You mentioned being an archmage. Is that associated with the groups, or is that associated with reality, or is that something different?
And with that, Ronnie gives you like a level stare and says, "What are your spheres?" If you don't mind me asking.
Correspondence, forces, prime, and spirit.
And how many levels into them are you?
Would he know this, or?
Yeah, you know what it is.
Okay, 2 in correspondence, 2 in forces, and 2 in prime, and 1 in spirit.
I have 5 in correspondence, 5 in forces, 5 in life, 5 in matter, 5 in prime, 3 in spirit, 3 in time, 4 in mind, and 3 in entropy.
Oh, that would explain why I couldn't find you or find this place or find any information on you earlier.
No, you wouldn't be able to. Once you reach a mastery of a sphere, you can be called an archmage. When you reach all 5 levels of a sphere, you can be referred to as an archmage, especially if you got more than one.
He'll nod. That makes sense.
Out of character. So I decided to do the math on all that. I'm like, okay, let's say that they had a career of the war for 10 years, right? And let's say they had 4 cases a year. And those cases were the equivalent of maybe 4 sessions. And I went, okay, 4 sessions, 4 times a year for 10 years. And I gave myself like the equivalent of XP that it would be during that time. And it was a metric ton. And I went, okay, how would I divide this amongst someone who has that much XP?
Oh.
Because the idea that I went with was like they were in the Ascension War for like about 10 years, and they retired. That's long enough to be a soldier in that war. So I went, okay, well, let's do the math. And they got yeah, she's got an arete of 8. So yeah, I'm like, okay, let's do the math. Boop, 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 boop.
See, and that was my guess, is that it was going to be based on the arete, not the spheres, but I wasn't quite sure.
Well, arete is your understanding, not your mastery. So yeah.
Right. Okay.
So now you can understand why she kind of gave you a level stare of like, okay, kiddo, let me explain something for you.
Oh, I thought it was going to be like one of those, like, because I haven't read into Archmage, but I've heard a lot of people complaining that it's kind of like what do you call it? It's more complicated than it needs to be. So I'm like, oh no, maybe I stepped
Well,
on
okay,
here.
there are supplements that have 6+ dots in a sphere, but they don't make sense. They don't make sense with anything. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is there anything
Okay,
else?
then I like that way better. It's like.
Does anyone else have any questions?
No, I think our friends need to go to bed.
Yeah, I mean, I can explain more, but yeah, we are kind of like getting late on time. So, do we want to break it off here?
Yes.
All right, cool.
We'll get to know Jimmy tomorrow, or I mean, not tomorrow, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Next time on.
Next time.
Next time on Arcus in Tenebris.